Welcome to the Modern Medicine Movement Podcast with Dr. Thomas Hemingway. Have you ever looked in the mirror and said to yourself, I thought I'd be healthier, in better shape, feel better both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and be further along in my life? If so, come on this journey with my dad as he explores all things health and wellness from a holistic medical perspective, even as a classically trained physician. He'll share integrative strategies to optimize health and inspire you to join the modern medicine movement.
Welcome to the Modern Medicine Movement Podcast. Dr. Thomas Hemingway here. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful day it is. So pumped, so grateful to be sharing this with you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives to come and just hang out with me for a little bit. Super appreciate it. We actually have some super exciting news, stuff that literally has been years and years in the making, and I'm sharing it with you first, very first. So humbled, so grateful to be here with you guys. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for sharing. And thank you if you've had the opportunity for writing a review. I can't tell you how these just kind of, they're awesome. I was going to say pull at my heartstrings, and sometimes they do, and every one of them just is awesome. So if you haven't done that already, go to Apple Podcasts and go scroll down to the bottom where you see the 5 stars. Click on the one farthest to the right, and then right under that, hit write a review. It's a little square with a pencil coming out the top right. You click on that, and then just type me up something and tell me what you're loving, what you're enjoying, what you're learning. I just love your feedback. It means so much, and it just brings this to more people. It makes it more visible, helps people to find it because, getting high quality, evidence-based, pertinent for the times, health information out there is sometimes a struggle, especially in this podcast formula where, you gotta have reviews to get exposure. So thank you in advance for doing that. I love to share these messages with you. I love that you're a part of this movement, and hopefully you're a part of my community, my free Facebook community, private community, where you can ask me questions, where you can listen to me go live and share more health topics. It's just an awesome group. Modern Medicine Movement Health and Wellness Facebook group. So join me if you haven't already. And just so grateful to be here with you guys. It's just a beautiful day in Hawaii. I'm looking out the window at the mountains and the sunshine and just the greenery all around, and it just pumps me up. I can't wait to get out there and get some of my vitamin M, my movement, my vitamin D, and my vitamin N for nature here in a little bit. I'm gonna try to get that awesome combo of my 3 favorite vitamins. But before I do that, I wanted to just share with you guys some exciting news. Oh my gosh, this has literally been years in the making. It's been on my heart for so long. I've been, sharing, tidbits on my podcast. I've been, just trying to just increase the good, solid, evidence-based information on the internet and everything with my show, the podcast, with my Facebook group, and in many other ways. And I just want to be able to have you guys know, firstly, that my course is out. I just released it. It is available. It's online. You can find it on the mastermind.com website, where it's kind of the holy grail of publishing your courses. If you don't know anything about it, Tony Robbins is the guy that got this thing started with Dean Graziosi, and it's a place where you can go and look for courses. It's where I published my first course, which I'm super proud of because it'll share with you 15 modules of information. It even has a PDF booklet that you can print up at home, and you can make goals, and you can, really just set those steps to action in your life, because, information is important, but information is not necessarily power, because you got to take action on that information. Like Tony Robbins says, execution trumps information any day of the week. You got to do something, execution or taking these steps to action is what makes them powerful. So I'm excited to share it with you. You can find it online easily. Just go to mastermind.com. I'll also publish in the show notes the link to it. If you just search up my name, there's a little window right below where you can search for a course title or something. There's an author window. If you just start typing in Hemingway, I'm the only Hemingway on the platform, so you'll be able to see my course probably the most expeditiously by typing in Hemingway. And the course is called Natural Weight Loss, Vitality, and a Healthier You Without Dieting. And in this course, oh my gosh, I share with you everything from why diets don't work to how you can, naturally both lose weight, increase your metabolism, your energy, your mojo. I talk about supplements. I talk about, just the ideal diet for you, how to eat clean. I talk about all the macronutrients. I talk about my sort of secret sauce, secret recipe to lifetime health, which has been, oh my gosh, a pursuit that I've just been on for almost 50 years. I'm coming up on 50, and oh my gosh, guys, I feel like I'm 20 again. And this course will help you get there too. It has lots of action steps. It has a PDF to go along with it, ideas for goals you can set and keep yourself on that journey and making action, have accountability. It's just where that rubber meets the road. So super excited to release that. I wanted you guys to be the first to hear about it. And I'm only offering right here to you right now a $20 off incentive. So that's huge because the course is already priced out really quite cheap, to be honest. I mean, literally, I've been working on this for a couple of years, recorded a bunch of modules. Everything is backed by research, both my personal experience, my physician experience, just tons of awesome information in there, just literally hours, tireless hours of work. And it's already priced at an amazing low price. But you guys only through my podcast that are listening, you can actually, when you buy the course, just shoot me an email at modernmedicinemovementpodcast@gmail.com, screenshot, where you purchase the course. And I will send you a $20. You just tell me what you want. I can give you PayPal, Venmo, $20, or even an Amazon gift card if that's what you'd prefer, if you maybe don't have those PayPal or Venmos. And I'm offering that to you guys only right here in the group. All right. So that's pretty awesome. Just so excited. I'm like bubbling with excitement. This is literally labor of love that I've been working on. Just ask my wife or my kids. It's just been on my heart and on my mind, on my soul for the last couple of years. And so I'm so excited. I finally got this thing out there, and you guys are the first to know about it and will be the only ones to know about this $20 discount that you can get on it, which is pretty cool. So anyway, look for that. I'll post up a link in the show notes as well, or just go to mastermind.com and look for, under the author search, type in my name, Hemingway, and you will see it. It is there. So super excited, guys. And this week, actually, my topic, when I was recording some of these final modules, I came across a topic, again, that I've talked about a little bit before, and it's been on my heart because I'm getting close to 50, and I know a lot of us, and all of us every day, right? We're getting older. We're maybe, feeling a little bit more tired. Maybe we're not as energetic. We just don't have the chutzpah that we used to when we were in our teens and 20s. And we just thought we were getting older. Like, I've made that excuse many times myself. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I made that excuse in the last 20 years when I was working 100 hours a week. I considered myself an active dude, and I tried to get out and do my vitamin M or movement. And honestly, there were days where I would get home from work and literally I would not want to get off the couch. Not that I sat there a long time, but I'd just get home and I just plop myself down, put on a little surf TV, have a bowl of ice cream, and it was like, I just didn't have the energy to go out and get it. I would want to, I'd feel like, gosh, I want to go surf. I want to go hang with my kids, go play outside, ride bikes. And I just didn't quite have the mojo that I was used to having. And, that was, 10, 15 years ago when my kids were really young. I wasn't that, energetic. I used to be accused of being the Energizer Bunny, earlier in life, and now I've been accused of being that again, and I've got that sort of mojo back, and I'm going to share with you this show, this podcast, my secret sauce, how I've regained that energy, that boost, that mojo, whatever you want to call it, and I'm so excited, so excited to share that with you guys, because literally that has changed my life. It is just one of those things that when you feel good, you just want more of it. You just want to feel that way each and every day. So that secret sauce, that special blend, that boost that you guys are looking for, I'm going to share that with you today. And so I'm so excited. You guys ready to get into it? All right, let's do it. So the topic in and of itself is explained by the science as a term that I think now is getting to be more in vogue, more popular. Some of us may have heard about it. It's called, technically speaking, metabolic flexibility. And that might be something you guys have heard of, maybe not yet. Maybe you've just heard of it in sort of that bigger topic matter of just metabolism in general. How do you get your metabolism all revved up and supercharged and just, bursting with energy? Well, that's kind of all the same thing, because when you achieve metabolic flexibility, that's how you feel. You literally feel like you could do anything. You just have that energy. You don't feel like, just plopping on the couch like I used to after work. I mean, I get home from work and I'm out surfing. I'm with my kids. We're out playing outside, riding bikes, playing pickleball, skating on our half pipe, that we have at our home. That how many 50-year-olds, guys, do you know they're out there skateboarding on a half pipe, doing jumps on a mountain bike, surfing, I mean, how many do you know out there? And I can do all that because over the years, I've learned how to optimize my metabolism and my metabolic flexibility. So if you haven't yet, well, then it's perfect. You're here and you're listening, because you're going to learn all about how to do that, how to get that proverbial boost out of your metabolism. So super exciting stuff. And firstly, just kind of like, what the heck is that, right? Like, technically speaking, I guess we should define what that means, all right? And so this was originally defined, in the scientific literature and, in the textbooks. And technically speaking, it's the ability of, some life form, the ability of an organism to respond or adapt to the conditional changes in metabolic demand and substrate, or the prevailing conditions or activity. So what the heck does that mean? Let's, in English, please, Dr. Hemingway, come on. So basically what that means is we can adapt to both the presence or absence of food and the types of food or fuel. So we should be able to seamlessly go from a fed state to a fasting state to a state where we're, giving ourselves healthy fats to healthy proteins to healthy carbs. Like, we should be able to bounce seamlessly without effort between those three macronutrients, as well as if we're eating or not eating. Like, that's how we literally were designed. Like, millennia ago, millions of years ago, we were designed with that purpose. Because think about this, thousands of years ago, we didn't have electricity. Of course not. We didn't have refrigerators. We couldn't roll out of bed and be like, okay, what's for breakfast? And take a look in the fridge or pull out the cold cereal from the pantry or whatever. No judgment here, but we couldn't do any of that stuff. And guess what we had to do? Like always, we woke up, fasted, right? We hadn't eaten anything overnight. There was no midnight snacks. There was no place to put midnight snacks, because if we had a place, it would be, scavenged by the animals around and they would eat it. There was no place to even put food. And so we ate after the hunt, or after we, did our gathering of berries or the tubers in the ground, the healthy carbs that were available and things like that. Like, we had to go out and get it. And so if we woke up like with that need to, I got to eat right away, I got to do that, we wouldn't be successful at going on the hunt, at going out and searching for food. In fact, we were built with this process to survive off of hours and sometimes even days of no food. Like, we were made that way. And so part of metabolic flexibility is being able to kick into that gear when we're fasted. And also to be able to shift between nutrients, because maybe there's a time of famine and there's no animals around to hunt. And so then we got to dig around and look for those yams, sweet potatoes, whatever kind of roots in the ground and eat them. That's a carb-rich, energy source. Or we got to go hunt around for berries or other things that we can find, or some kind of plant protein, beans or whatever we can grow or raise. Like, we had to go from the proteins to the fats to the carbs, and we had to bounce between those seamlessly without effort. And we could do all that thousands of years ago. We could do it all just fine. And we today still have inherently within us, we have, the mechanisms to do that. We have the genes, we have the machinery. But unfortunately, if we haven't been recently metabolically, flexible, that machinery may not be, tuned up. It may not be working well. In fact, we may have less of it, because if we don't use it, if we're just grinding the carbohydrates all day long, we don't even need most of that machinery, because many of you know that carbs can be processed in that giant area of the cell called the cytoplasm. It doesn't even ever have to go into those super important energy factories, the power plants of the cell called the mitochondria. Like, the carbs don't even have to go inside there. They can be broken down right in the cytoplasm, that big area in the internal part of the cell, without that important machinery that gives us tons of energy. Like, just a quick jump to one of our metabolism podcasts from the past, we talked about how, carbs, or, once they are broken down into glucose, they only give you 2 units of ATP per molecule. That's it, 2 units. And they don't even need oxygen to be able to break that down through glycolysis. But yet, if you eat healthy fats, for example, they go into that powerhouse, that power plant, if you will, the mitochondria, and 1 unit there can give you 32 ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. So it's like 16 times better of an energy source. But as I mentioned, sometimes, the carbs might be the only thing available. Like way back when we couldn't, hunt because there was a famine or something. Or if you guys are vegan or vegetarian and don't eat any animal protein or animal fat, then you need to be able to be versatile with your energy source and be able to get that from plants. And so if your metabolism is healthy and you are metabolically flexible, like, you can do that, and you can do that seamlessly. And the cool news about this is, although you may not have been there for months or years, like, you can get this back within a couple of weeks. Your metabolism is that, I hate to use the word flexible again, but it's able to be changed up, switch gears, if you will, in a relatively short period of time. Even if you've been, eating crappy for years, or you're never doing this thing called intermittent fasting or time-restricted feeding, or you're choosing, poor quality foods and things like that, your metabolism can bounce back literally in a matter of weeks. So that's what's super cool about it. And if you didn't get my plug earlier, like, I talk all about that in the course, and it's super cool. But what I wanted to share with you is that we were made for this. Like, we can do this stuff. Like, this is stuff that we were designed to be able to do. The problem is, most of us don't do the behaviors that get our metabolism working well, smoothly, operating without, throwing a rod, the motor analogy. Like, we're not primed to be able to do that because of the things that we've done choice-wise, both with what we've chosen to eat and the timing of when we choose that to eat, and the other behaviors that affect it. Things like sleep, things like exercise, all these kind of stuff. Things like hydration all affect our metabolism. And we're going to get into that. I'm going to give you all these pearls because I'm like billowing with excitement because they've made such a big deal in my own life. And so I wanted to share that with you at the outset, that we literally have this under our control. Like, it is something that we can do and we can change relatively quickly. So firstly, how do we even know if our metabolism is flexible or not? Like, Here's a couple of ways to know that. So number one, do you wake up in the morning like hungry? Like, oh my gosh, like you just feel like within that first 30 to 60 minutes of getting out of bed, you have to eat something? Or if you are busy at work or whatever and you skip a meal and you don't have access to a snack, do you feel a little bit hangry? Or you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get something. I got to reach into my purse, my backpack, whatever, my work bag, and grab a Snickers bar, grab some kind of, calorie source. Do you feel like you got to reach for that if you miss a couple hours without eating? Or do you feel tired all the time and just like devoid of energy, kind of like I did about 10 or 15 years ago when I just hadn't figured all this out? I used to get up in the morning and I would just eat something because that's what I learned, right? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? I mean, if that's not the biggest bunch of BS that we've been taught, and that we got to be fed every 2 to 3 hours, keep our blood sugar up, like those two things, like literally I was taught that in school, in my college, in my medical school, by registered dietitians. You got to eat every 2 to 3 hours. And that stuff is not only outdated, but it literally was never backed by appropriate research and data. So that's what I used to believe. But then, I learned a couple of pearls, which I'll share with you today, that not only gave me that energy, that chutzpah that I was wanting, but it refined my metabolism. It got it tuned up, if you will, so I could get it into high gear and I could get that energy that I so desperately wanted, and that I needed. Shoot, I got 6 kids, as many of you know, and it ain't easy chasing those guys around. I got 2 teenagers now. In another year, I'll have 3 teenagers. I mean, it's a busy, busy life. And if your metabolism is not finely tuned and flexible and working well, you feel it and you don't want to get off the couch. And there is a better way, and it's not that difficult. And it's within you. You got the genes for it. You got the machinery for it. So I'm going to share with you how you can do that. Are you guys ready? All right. So, so that you're not flexible if you can't wake up in the morning and feel just fine for a few hours without eating, or if you can't go without a snack, or if you feel tired all the time, or if you get that like food coma that comes after you eat lunch and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to go take a nap. Have you guys ever felt that way? Or if you're like reaching for caffeine all the time. Like for me, I'm a little ashamed to admit it, but I used to drink those, Red Bulls and Monsters, and I haven't for years, but I felt that I needed to because I was trying to keep my energy up. I mean, I was working long days. I was busy with 6 kids. I was like exhausted all the time. And so I was reaching for those Red Bulls and Monsters and that stuff is garbage. And maybe you reach for caffeine or green tea or things like that, and you feel like you got to have it. If that's the case, you're not metabolically flexible yet. But you'll get there. And we'll teach you how you can do that. So those are kind of some of the telltale signs that you may have if you're not metabolically flexible. You just can't go that long without eating, or you can't go that long without a coffee or something caffeinated, or if you had to, say you're on a long travel day and you went 16, 18 hours without food and you were literally going bananas and you were like hangry to the max. Like hangry didn't used to be a thing. Like when I grew up as a kid, I don't ever remember being hangry really. And honestly, what was different, a couple of things that were different back then is that, there was no such thing as a snack. Like literally we didn't keep anything in the cupboards as a quote unquote snack, like nothing. Like nowadays, the snack industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And how it was created? It was not created because we needed it. We as humans do not need to snack. It was created for this, to make money. As I move my fingers, and those that are watching on the video that I'm recording here will see that. But it's something that we do not have a need for. We literally do not. With a metabolically flexible metabolism, we don't need to snack, like ever. And when I grew up as a kid, we didn't have snacks. There was nothing. There were no granola bars or fruit leather or, those little cute little applesauce packets. Like there was none of that. Like we didn't eat between meals. And then at night, we ate dinner at 6 p.m. or 5. Actually, I remember 5 more commonly, but for sure we'd be done by 6 p.m. And then I wouldn't eat the next morning before school until 7. That's 13 hours of an intermittent fast that I didn't even know I was doing, but that's just the way we did it, and often we would eat at 5. p.m. And so if I didn't eat breakfast till 8, I think our school was we were a little later. We got started, I think, at 8:30 in the morning. So I could eat breakfast at 8 a.m., and so I had already literally fasted for 14 or 15 hours overnight as a kid, and I didn't even know it. And guess what? You can ask my mom, like, you think I'm full of energy now and running around? Like, I was doing the same thing back then. I was like, I couldn't sit still, If they had a diagnosis such as ADHD back in the day, I guarantee you I would have had it. I could not sit still for 2 seconds. Just ask my mom if you ever get a chance to meet her. I mean, I was like just going always, but I never, I wasn't hungry after school. Like, I didn't need that snack. I could wait until dinner. My metabolism was working great. And that was before we even had a term for it. We didn't even call it metabolic flexibility. We didn't have any such thing as time-restricted feeding or intermittent fasting. And that's just the way that we did it back in the day. And guess what? We were healthier. We were healthier as a people. And then this whole snack industry came about. And then we thought that we needed snacks. And we were told by our dietitians, doctors, all these people that we needed a snack. We needed to eat breakfast. We needed to have something to raise our blood sugar every 2 to 3 hours based on no data, based on no evidence, based on nothing quality. We were told and taught this for years. And our metabolic flexibility basically went into the dumps. I mean, as low as you can go, into the sewer, if you will. I mean, and most of us, 88% of us might still be there where we're not metabolically flexible. But we can get there, and I'm going to teach you how. All right, enough of the preamble here, but some of the quickest ways that we can do that. I actually gave myself a couple of notes here because I didn't want to miss even one of them. Not even one. And these are all backed by the data. I don't share with you stuff that's just my soapbox and how I feel. It's like the medical teaching, the educational part. I give you the data, what's actually backed by science. And that's why I feel so just blessed to be able to share that, because a lot of the sources out there, they just tell you whatever their experience is, and it may or may not be actual factual information or based on science. But this is stuff that's actually based in science, and I sort of pride myself in that. And so anyway, who doesn't want to have that supercharged metabolism, that metabolically flexible metabolism? I mean, we all do, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of simple steps. If you're not driving, you can bust out your pen and pencil or your notes function on your phone or whatever, jot a few of these down. But these are things that are simple. They are free. Like, who doesn't love free? Like, there's, almost nothing in life that is free. But this information is, or I should say these steps, doing them is, for the most part, these are free things. You don't have to pay to, for example, make sure you're hydrated. Most of us have water available to us all the time, and drinking water actually will boost your metabolic rate, if you will. It'll actually cause you to be more efficient and burn more calories. Like, being properly hydrated, like that simple step. And believe me, I've talked all about this before. I did a course, right? And one of the modules was on hydration. I did a Facebook Live last week on hydration. Like, it's that important. And that's a simple and usually free thing, unless you're traveling, you got to pay for water or whatever, but that can boost your metabolism. That simple notion of staying hydrated. Who knew it could be that easy, right? And if you drink cold water, actually there's been some studies suggesting that cold water can even make your metabolism boost up a little bit more. There's this thing called the thermogenic effect of water. So it's kind of cool, kind of one of these nerdy things that you can look for online if you're interested. There's studies to back it. But let's just take, for example, one case where you may have had, less water than this here. This is kind of a bigger cup. That's about 32 ounces. But say you drank 16, 17 ounces of water. That's been shown to boost your metabolism. Let me just get the quote from my study here. Up to about 20 to 30% for an hour. Just drinking water increases your metabolism by 20 to 30%. Like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. And there's other studies that show if you drink cold water, it may boost it even more. And I'm mostly a cold water kind of guy because I'm in hot places. I'm in Hawaii right now. I might be in Florida this summer. I might be in Costa Rica. I like these warm climate places. So I'm drinking cold water all the time. And so I was pumped to learn that a few years ago, that cold water may actually improve the metabolic rate even more, and it will help you eat less. Like, I've talked about that before, right? If you're going to go out to eat, like, drink a big solid couple of glasses of water, before your meal, and then you won't feel like finishing the meal, and you can share it with your partner, get one meal for two people. Wow, imagine that, 2 for 1. Or if you're out to eat by yourself or nobody to share it with, you just eat half the meal. You do the put it in the food, little box afterwards, and then you can bring it home and eat it the next day, like 2 for 1 again. But you can do that by just hydrating and drinking a full glass of water before meals. And then all day long, being hydrated is so important. And not only does it boost your metabolism, but you feel better. Like, who hasn't recognized that? You literally have a boost in your energy that you can recognize. One simple free thing, right? Just drinking water. Of course, exercising or movement. I did a whole podcast on this, and I've done, sections in the course on exercise as well, because that will boost your energy. Super counterintuitive, because you think, well, when you exercise, you're burning calories, you're using up some of those stored, energy in the body. How would you be more energized afterwards? Well, you are. Those of you that regularly move your bodies, hopefully 6 or 7 days a week in some way, shape, or form, you've noticed that you do have more energy. You do, have this zest that you didn't have before you were regularly moving or regularly exercising. Like, the studies show that. You have more energy. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, but true. There's lots of actual data that show that you can increase your metabolic rate by doing more exercise. Or it doesn't have to be more, and it doesn't even have to be long. You guys have heard of the high intensity kind of interval training. Usually these take less time, but you got to mix it up a little bit. So I used to be a guy that I kind of did the same exercise all the time until a few years ago when I learned this. I was like, just go for a run of 3 miles or whatever, or I'd just go for a surf or go ride my skateboard or my bike, but I wasn't really pushing it. Having these bursts of energy, this high intensity. And you can do this if you're a runner, just sprint for 30 seconds, then go back to your regular pace, and then sprint for 30 seconds or a minute, kind of like these workouts that they do at Orange Theory. And I don't get out there often. They don't have one in Hawaii, but when I'm on the mainland, sometimes I join my wife, and she's always number 1 in the class. But who's number 2 in that class of 30 or so people? It's me, the guy that's going to be turning 50. I can do this, and I feel so energized and so much better when I do. So high intensity, that interval type training, mixing it up, that's been shown to boost your metabolism. It doesn't have to be a long workout either. If you include these high intensity bursts, you get more bang for your buck, and it takes less time, right? Or you guys have heard of, I think I've shared this before, but I keep a lot of dumbbells around the house, maybe to my wife's chagrin, because I think we all trip over them from time to time. So if you keep dumbbells around the house, try to put them as close to the wall as possible and not in your path of going to the bathroom at night or something like me. You want to keep them out of the way, but I literally keep dumbbells in 3 or 4 places around the house so that I can just do that when I'm doing something else. My, net time, as Tony Robbins calls it, right? The no extra time. I just pick up a dumbbell while I'm reading something, or while I'm listening to a podcast, or while I'm folding laundry. I'll do a little couple of reps of whatever, the weight that I have in my location. And I do this all day long. Like, lifting heavy weights or lifting weights in general will mix it up and will boost your metabolism. There was a cool study on about 50 women who were placed on, they gave them a certain amount of calories per day, but they gave them, one group had to do heavy weightlifting. It wasn't like heavy, but it was weightlifting. The other group didn't. And those that were doing the exercise, they got a boost in their metabolism. It was really cool. They called it resistance training, right? And so, that simple thing that you do, just buy a couple of whatever, 15, 20 pound, 25 pounds, some of the dudes out there, 30, 35 pound weights, and just keep them all over the house, and just pick them up and use them once an hour, It's like simple stuff like that that's inexpensive, doesn't take a lot of time, that will boost your metabolism, and you'll be more energized. Here's one that I love that I'm actually doing right now. You can't see the whole backdrop in the video, but you can tell because I'm pretty versatile here. I'm actually standing. Get yourself a standing desk. Or I just bought this thing at Costco that has a little button on it that raises and lowers the desk. So if I've been standing a couple hours, then I want to sit, I can just lower it. It's a cool little feature, and it's not expensive. I think it was like a couple $100 at Costco. I've had it already like over 2 years. And surprisingly, even in the humid, climate of Hawaii, it's still working. Like everything, I don't know if you guys know this, but everything rusts here in like no time flat. Like legit. You buy one of these grills and it's got a little electrical start, like that may last 6 or 9 months and then kaput. It just gets fried by the environment. There's too much oxygen and moisture. And so what is that? Love oxidation, which is rust. Everything rusts out here so fast. But I've had this standing desk a couple of years. It still goes up and down. And so while you stand, you actually not only burn more calories, but it boosts your metabolism. Like standing is so much healthier for you if you're able to do it. And you might do it in intervals. Don't do it all at once. If you've never tried working standing, like maybe do it for a half an hour and then go back to sitting and then just mix it up because, at first I used to do this and my feet would kind of hurt, And so what did I do? I bought a, just one of those pads. It's kind of like, I think they were designed to put under your sink because they're kind of this rubbery pad that you can stand on while you're doing the dishes, and it gives you a little bit of cushion. It's also, you can kind of bounce a little bit on it. So I bought one of those because my feet used to hurt a lot after I was standing too long. But now with that, I can do that. If you want to get super high tech, buy one of these grounding pads that you plug in that helps you, lose your negative charge. And maybe I'll do a podcast on that. It's pretty cool science in what's called grounding. And it's not just this frou-frou thing that's, made up. There's actually science about it. You can buy one of these grounding mats and stand on it, and that's super helpful and healthy as well for your energy levels and so on. And so much more. Decreases inflammation. There's a lot of cool stuff that it does. So if you guys, let me know in the comments when you see this or listen to this, if that's something you guys would like to learn about, because it'd be kind of fun to talk about in a future podcast or module or whatever I decide to do, because it's actually got some cool science, and I'm a nerdy science guy, as you guys know. So standing up can not only burn, it can literally burn 200 calories more than sitting, if you tend to stand while you work. And you guys have I've heard this mantra that sitting is the new cancer or carcinogen. Carcinogen is just something that causes cancer. And if you have a desk job and you have to sit all day long, like that, sitting is horrible. It's been shown to, make your insulin resistance go through the roof, and it's been linked to all these chronic diseases. So just go from sitting to standing. Another super simple thing, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. Another thing that can boost your metabolism is healthy, natural caffeine, like in green tea, for example. That's a healthy version of caffeine that's available, and that little bit of caffeine can actually kind of give the metabolism a boost. And they have cool stuff, in there, polyphenols and other things. In fact, one of the supplements I take is based on the green tea extract that they were able to get out of these young plants, because they have a lot of antioxidants in there, polyphenols. They boost the metabolism somewhat. And so I actually take every day, many of you guys know this, I drink a drink that has some of this in there, which is super cool for your metabolism, your energy, your blood sugar balance. And there's studies that show that it can benefit. So it's pretty cool. Metabolism boosting, as well as, it can help you with your blood sugar metabolism and just to be able to get into your fat stores. Did you know that in your body, like basically the average person has enough fat to power them for an entire month? Like legit. Like this is something many people don't know because we don't widely talk about it, but it's a proven fact that, over 90% of people, and we're just talking about people, we're not talking about, morbidly obese people. I mean, even I right here at, less than 10% body fat, I have enough fat on my body that I could literally go a month without eating, just, proper hydration and all of that, of course I would do. I could literally go a month and power my body through the fat stores that I have for an entire month. Like, holy crap, that's how much energy we carry around with us. And if you think about it, like this was the perfect design for somebody that might have to go a few hours or even days without eating. Like we carry our fat mostly kind of like a fanny pack. Like it's kind of around the waist, right? And it's a convenient location because if we had it like way up top here behind my neck or shoulders, it'd make me kind of lean forward. It'd mess with my posture. But we carry it around the waist. It's just the most, right above the hips, generally speaking. And that's ergonomically probably the best place you could carry your added weight, your fat. And that's by design. Like, it was by design to get us through those times where there was famine. There was nothing to hunt. There wasn't much to eat. Like, we were literally designed that way. And if we're metabolically flexible, we can get in and actually use those fat stores or get into that so-called fat burn state that we want to get into. Other people call it fat adapted, that fat adapted state. And there's a few steps that'll get us there, because it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes, a few days to about 2 weeks or so to really get to that fat adapted state where you can dive in and use your own body fat. And you can go a prolonged period of time if you needed to. I don't myself personally fast longer than 24 hours on any kind of regular basis, but there's a lot of people that love that. They like to take, 1 week a year and do a week-long fast or a 3 to 5 day fast. It's a water fast, so you can drink all the hydration, the non-caloric hydration that you want. But personally, I don't feel the need to ever really fast more than 24 hours. And I get the benefits from doing my time-restricted eating because I can jump into that, window of fat burn and be fat adapted because of the other things that I'm doing with my diet, with my sleeping patterns, with the timing of my meals and stuff like that. So we'll get into that. Don't worry. Another kind of fun thing, I'm just going through some things I wrote down because I don't want to miss anything. And another kind of fun thing that we can do to boost our metabolism is, I don't know if any of you folks out there like spicy food. I kind of like it, and I used to not like it so much because I had a problem with gastric reflux or heartburn or GERD. And so I couldn't really tolerate these real spicy foods, which have peppers, right? Capsaicin is that ingredient in peppers that can, make us feel a little bit warm afterwards. And now also has a metabolic sort of thermogenic effect. The capsaicin, in fact, some people have capitalized on that and they sell it in capsules, like literally supplements. I don't necessarily recommend that. I just try to get it naturally in chili peppers and in salsa and things like that are natural, that are plant-based, that are from real food. So it's kind of fun that there's actually data that shows that you can get a boost in your metabolism and burning calories through eating some peppers or capsaicin. And I'm getting to some of my favorite things here. Sleep is one of those things that not only can help you lose weight. Yeah, who knew, right? Another free thing, like literally lose weight, lose pounds while you sleep. Like, holy crap, how cool is that? Well, it happens. That helps our metabolism. When we sleep, 8 hours, 7-8 hours a night, and it's restful quality sleep, that enables our metabolism to become, closer to metabolic flexibility, because it takes a little bit longer than 8 hours to go without eating to do it. But that restful sleep, you guys have heard of autophagy, that cellular cleanup where you dump all the old stuff, all the toxins, and you revitalize your cells, you fix your DNA, you kind of fix your busted down, processes, the enzymes and things that need some work. If your mitochondria is a little bit messed up, those powerhouses or energy, producers of the cell, because you've been eating food with a label with lots of refined sugars and carbs and flours and things like that, or seed oils, you've been eating food that contains the seed oils, then those mitochondria are sick and they can't efficiently bounce from proteins to carbs, from carbs to fats and stuff like that, because the mitochondria, those energy plants, the powerhouses, if you will, are sick, and they can get repaired at night while you sleep. And the data shows that. And if we don't sleep well, right, if we have to do shift work and we can't get in our sleep, because when you do shift work, this doesn't have to be your future, but you got to sleep sometime. So if you're not sleeping and you're not getting your 7 or 8 hours because you're working shifts and you don't have a dark enough room, like, invest in some blackout curtains, invest in some kind of noisemaker or room AC or something so that you can get the climate and temperature down so you can sleep more soundly and more restfully. The quality of our food matters so much, right? One of the things we can do to boost our metabolism is with healthy, high quality food, like real food, right? If we're eating fats, it should be from a trusted source, like an avocado or a coconut. these kinds of things are healthy fats. Like, we can't be reaching for the processed stuff that has all those seed oils in it, which are toxic literally to our bodies because of that high concentration of PUFAs, right? The polyunsaturated fatty acids. And there's a study I was reading before I put this together that was talking about specifically coconut oil. And if you guys don't know the benefits of coconut oil, just take a look out there, Google MCT oil. Like, that's all the rave, right? Everybody's buying supplements with MCT oil. They're putting it tablespoon in their coffee and all this kind of stuff. I mean, just eat the coconut or get coconut oil. Like, it's cheaper and it's more natural. Just get the unrefined, just pressed coconut oil. I just bought a big thing of it and we've been cooking with it. And I made our traditional waffles, which I used to use avocado oil for. And, we don't eat waffles or this kind of carbs very often, but like on a Sunday brunch, like, I'll make these waffles and literally they have 4 ingredients. It's awesome. One of them is, oil. It just says oil, but I use coconut oil and just pressed coconut oil, unrefined pressed coconut oil. And they work amazing in there, those oils, the coconut oils. But my kids actually love the taste. They're like, Dad, make sure you use coconut oil. And like, if we're on the mainland, up in the mountains, it's hard because the coconut oil is like hard as a rock. Well, it's not hard, but it's a solid, and you got to like melt it first and then use it, because here in Hawaii, we have no issues with that. It's warm. That coconut oil is liquid all the time. Super easy, super simple. So MCT oil, coconut oil, these are great things to be able to eat that can boost your metabolism. Okay. So that's pretty cool. In a particular study that I was reading, it was showing that it can boost it by 12% with the medium chain triglycerides, which is basically MCT oil, which was in coconuts. So that was something super cool that I hadn't really thought of specifically about MCT oil or coconut oil, but I love it because I was already incorporating that into my diet because I just like the taste of it. I like that it's healthy anyway, and it tastes good. My kids are loving it. They love the taste of my waffles with coconut oil. Super cool. Another thing that when we're talking about macronutrients, might as well mention the healthy ones here as well, like adding protein into every meal, because protein has a thermogenic effect. Protein is a energy-dense, kind of satiating food. So it can help your metabolism in a couple of ways. One, you feel more full, so you're less likely to reach for that snack 2 to 3 hours later, right? Like, if we're powered by sugar, which unfortunately 88% of us are metabolically that way because we have some insulin resistance. And if we have insulin resistance, that's a precursor basically to metabolic inflexibility. And you know that because every 2 to 3 hours you're looking for a snack. But if you replace all of those carbs that most of us, the standard American and Westerner, if you will, eats 60 to 70% of their diet in carbohydrates. And I would be willing to put out there that not only are they carbohydrates, but most of them are the really, really crappy ones, the highly refined carbohydrates, like processed sugars, processed flours, the stuff that comes from the grocery store in the middle part of the store, not around the periphery, but, the pasta noodles, the cereals, the oatmeal, all these things that can sit on the shelf for a while. Most of these are really crappy, poor quality carbohydrates, which make up most of our diet, which is sad. So start lowering the amount of carbohydrates that you eat and increasing the amount of healthy fats, the healthy carbohydrates, like those that come from nature, right? The fresh fruits, vegetables, and eat them whole. Don't squeeze them and drink your, citrus or your berries in juice. Like, don't drink your fruit, eat your fruit. Like, the juices are not going to cut it here. The juices are going to pump up that blood sugar. They're going to worsen your insulin levels, your insulin resistance. Like, eat your fruit. Don't drink it. Eat it, right? And if you add protein to it, I add a little extra in a protein powder that I take because right now at this time in my life, I'm actually trying to build up my muscle mass because I'm almost 50. And what happens as we age is our muscle mass, without doing anything, the path of least resistance is that we lose it. That's called sarcopenia. Fancy word for losing your muscle mass as you get older. Sarcopenia. But if you say it at dinner with friends, they'll be like, "Oh, you're smart. Sarcopenia. What the heck is that?" It's not something you want. You don't want to have sarcopenia, but one of the ways to combat that is actively eating high quality natural proteins that come from well-raised and sourced meats, fish, and of course the well-raised plant proteins that don't have pesticides, that are non-GMO, that are organic, hopefully all of that as well, because you can get healthy plant proteins too. But you got to make sure the source is good. Number one rule that I always profess to people and share is that source matters. The source and quality of our food literally trumps everything. Way more important to pay attention to that than counting calories. Or the new counting calories that is out there is counting the macros. We need to count how many of this, how many of that, how many of that. Forget about the counting. Just go with rule number one, the source. High quality foods from a natural source is where it's at. Like that trumps counting anything any day of the week. You can quote me on that. So eating more protein at meals, because the protein has what's called a thermogenic effect. Kind of like water did. There is a thermogenic effect of food, and that protein is the macronutrient, if you will, that causes the biggest increase in the thermogenic effect of food. More so than anything else. For carbs, it only pumps your metabolism by maybe 5%, whereas for proteins can increase your metabolic rate by up to 30%. So adding healthy, well-sourced protein to your diet can get you not only more energy, right, but it can make you more metabolically flexible. Because we want this, because we will have that energy. We'll be able to bounce between proteins, fats, carbs seamlessly without feeling hangry, without feeling crummy, if we're metabolically flexible. And doing that, eating more protein, exercising, these things actually not only boost your metabolism temporarily, but they actually enhance the machinery that you need to be able to produce more energy in the future. They actually kind of grow or increase the number of your mitochondria, these powerhouses. You can actually get more of them. Not only can you fix them if you've damaged them over the years by eating too many carbs and too many seed oils, you can actually fix them through high quality foods and these other things we've talked about. Exercise, the high quality foods in our diet, the healthy fats, the healthy proteins, these sorts of things can actually boost, and that resistance training, lifting weights and things like that, that can actually boost the number of mitochondria in your body. Like more mitochondria and more energy, they go hand in hand. And optimally functioning mitochondria, because you've been eating well-sourced, real, whole, natural foods, that's the holy grail. You put all those things together and then add in there the time component. I mean, I would say the top two things on my healthy, eat clean list of all times, and I don't think they will ever be replaced. Number one is the source and quality of your food. And number two is the timing of your food. And so you can put intermittent fasting, time-restricted feeding. You can put whatever term in that number two that you want, but literally that is so important. One of the reasons our metabolism is so wrecked, because the average person in the Western world eating the SAD diet that I call it, it's super sad, right? The standard American diet is eating 16 or more hours a day. And if you get up for that midnight snack, you might be eating 20 hours a day. This is like havoc. This is like literally throwing that wrench in the flywheel. I mean, this is literally jamming up your metabolism, eating at all hours of the day. Like, besides rule number one, the quality and source of our food, the timing of our food, these are probably the two most important things you could ever do for your nutritional health, your metabolism, and they're both basically free, right? You can figure out what time you're going to eat. Make sure you have a nice long window. At usually night is the most convenient, because half of it you pass sleeping. 8 hours of it you can do while you're sleeping. And if you add a couple hours before, a couple hours after, and you've at least surpassed that sort of magic number of 14 that most of the data shows that the time-restricted, eating, that window should be about 14 hours, then you get all these benefits of improved metabolism, improved flexibility, increased energy. You'll be sharper. You'll be smarter. You'll have increased growth hormone, brain-derived derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which makes you smarter, makes your memory better. All of these things are enhanced with this time-restricted feeding. And I won't get all into all the details and the data and all the ways you can do it, because I've podcasted about it. I've done whole courses and modules on exactly that topic on intermittent fasting. And so I won't belabor it here, but those two things are paramount. The timing of your meals and the quality of what we're putting in. I mean, there's nothing that can touch those. So I think we've gone pretty long here. I apologize if any of you are like, oh my gosh, he's just on a rant. I really wanted to share with you those things because they are paramount. Those two things are literally life-changing, both for your energy and your metabolism, but for everything else, for your health, your lifetime health. If you've got those two down, you've got them wired, like the rest of it will come super easy. Those two things are paramount. So I hope you took notes. I hope you got that. Can't wait to share more in both, future modules, future podcasts, wherever you'll get me. So much more on all these topics. But for now, I just wanted to thank you for being here and for taking this time for you. Like, this is your time. And use these things, these pearls, these tips and tricks that I just shared with you, and incorporate it into your life. I named at least 10 things today that we can do to supercharge our metabolism, to achieve metabolic flexibility. And they're not difficult. One thing I didn't even really talk about much, though intermittent fasting or time-restricted feeding fuels this, is sort of being in this ketogenic phase, because that is probably the quickest way to get into metabolic flexibility and fat adaptation, is to go through a period of ketogenesis, which is basically, you guys know what keto is, right? It's basically you run away from the carbs. You don't eat the carbs. And it's been shown over about a 2-week period, if you can do a pretty low carb, less than about 60 grams a day, you can get into that ketosis pretty easily. And that will kind of jumpstart this whole process. And so if you don't know anything about that, I talked about it a lot in previous metabolism podcasts. And I should probably devote a whole podcast to the ketogenic diet, or just what is ketogenesis, because you actually can do ketosis without adhering to a ketogenic diet. You can do it every single day of your life without doing full keto in your diet. That's what I do. I don't do a full keto diet. I do a low carb diet. I'll admit I probably have 10 to 20% max of my macronutrients in carbs. I eat a pretty low carb diet, but I'm not in ketosis from my diet. I'm in ketosis every single day because I wake up fasted, and I stay fasted for another 4 or 6 hours, depending on the day. My window of not putting food into my mouth is not the standard American 6 to 8 hours. Mine is 16 or 18 hours. And I didn't get up to that overnight. I'm not recommending you do that overnight. Start easy. Start with that 8-hour window of sleep. Add another 2, make it 10. Over the next few weeks, make it 12. Over the next month, make it 14. And that's sort of the sweet spot. If you can get to 14 consistently every night, it's easy. You'll feel so much better. But it could be a stepwise approach for you, and that's totally fine. Back in the day, as I shared with you as a kid, I did 13, 14 hours just because my mom told me the kitchen was closed after dinner. Like after 5 p.m., if I was hungry, like that's it. Tough. I should have eaten a better dinner, and then I couldn't eat till almost 8 in the morning the next day. Like that was 15 hours on that day. Usually I'd eat at 7 a.m., because get ready for school or whatever. That's a 14-hour fast right there, 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. I was doing that as a kid without even knowing it. And like I said, ask my mom. I was like bouncing off the walls with energy. I had plenty of energy. Maybe she should have gave me snacks, and I might have been less energetic. I'd want to have the food coma, and I'd be, but then, I'd trade that for being hangry, and nobody likes anybody hangry. Just ask my wife. Being hangry and tired is a couple of those worst things, because 10, 15 years ago, that's what I was. Hangry and tired. My metabolism sucked. It wasn't flexible, and I wasn't a lot of fun to live with. So anyway, with that, I just wanted to thank you again for spending this time with us. I hope you got some value. I apologize if some of it was a little bit of a rant, but I just get so excited about this stuff because it has changed my life, like legit. It has helped me in so many ways, and getting more energy just the start. So if you found any value, please share. Please tag a friend. Share with them the podcast. Tell them how to get in my free Facebook group. Tell them how they can get my course. And if you mention that you got the info from this podcast, I will give you $20. Isn't that cool? $20. And this is limited time only. This isn't going to be, evergreen that anybody ever who listens to the podcast will get $20 off. But for at least the next week, I will give you, maybe longer, we'll see how things go, but I will give you $20 off my new course that just came out today. It is online. Look at mastermind.com. I think you have to set up an account, which is free to be able to purchase it. That's what I'm told anyway. And you can just look up my name under the author search. Type in Hemingway and you'll see my course is right there. It's exciting. It's well priced. It's not going to break your bank, and it's an investment in you. To do the entire course, I would say you should plan on a couple of months. Maybe do a module a day or a module a week, because you're going to want to apply the things that you learn to your everyday life. So this is going to be a couple month-long course, but it may be the best money you spend. So check it out, mastermind.com. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time, a big Hawaiian aloha.